Good morning. At home in the garden with Glenn. Hopefully I caught just a little bit of that sun coming up. Did not get out to the garden as early as I wanted to. Nice long week of work, which is just fine. And I think, I don't know, that might be all the sun we get for today, which is life here in Minnesota. We have snow in the forecast. It's not going to be like a big snow, not like what they got a little bit south of us. Still April, still cold, 29 degrees, so they're talking rain, snow showers. So I have a couple hours in the garden today to get a few more things done. You always hope, or I always hope, that I'll get something done during the week, but this week I did not. I'm going to turn this around, or just kind of here. Today's project, we still have a big old rhubarb right there. That rhubarb is gonna get moved, and I brought a load of soil home. Let's go over there. So there you go. I brought a load of soil home and a couple low spots where some trees were taken out maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago. Steve would know. But we're gonna finish cleaning up the garden, and we're gonna extend the garden like we talked about in the first video. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a method of newspaper, because in the end I didn't want to dig up the grass and take it all out. And as I'm just watching the elevation comes down, at some point over here, this whole area is going to get raised up. So we're going to use the old newspaper trick. If you haven't seen it, make sure you watch all the way, and we'll show you how you can start a garden using newspaper. Well, pleasantly surprised, the sun, yay, the sun poked through, and we're gonna get a little bit more. Clouds are pretty cool. We're gonna get a little more sun, enjoyable out here in the garden. Just lost a flannel, so any day you start out with 3 flannels and slowly lose your flannels. It's a good day in the garden. Well, snap. How about that? Some more sunshine. I'll take it. And the reality is, we might have it for a little bit. There's some blue skies up there. Okay, so I've cleaned up a little bit more. I cleaned out those sunflower root balls, I guess you would call them, that I didn't get out last year just because I was a little late. We are going to pull a string line all the way down the center here, so I can get an idea of where the bed's gonna get extended down there. So we're gonna do that. And then this is always the interesting time. When will coffee show up, or will I have to get my own coffee again? Questions. Well, it's not overly scientific, but and square and perfect, because I'm not going to measure corner to corner to make sure it's perfectly square. There's possibly a floating 5 inches in the center from one end to the other end. As much as I like to have things perfectly just right on the number, I'm not building kitchen cabinets out here, so I like the look of things. There's something more important about stepping back and just seeing how it looks, the feel of it. What I am going to be doing in another video is adding a couple more bales on the other side, taking one set out and adding 3 more rows, and we're talking about moving the rhubarb. So I just wanted to get the garden figured out to kind of square it up, as I mentioned, just to how far it's coming down. So we're adding about 6 or 7 feet to the garden. I'm gonna put a link up there, to where Terry Knight from the Garden Bite was in last year. And it was like one of the early episodes about laying out gardens, and we talked about not getting too big and all those fun things. Give that one a watch. There's just a whole wealth of information in there. And also follow Terry Knight. I think she's podcasting now, so that's exciting. But now that I have a corner and a square, it's time for coffee. I guess I'm gonna go make my coffee. Well, here we are back from coffee. Yes, it was a good break. Speaking of coffee, today's coffee mug is not a cool potter's mug, but laying out all these lines and working on things, I grabbed one of my favorite mugs from the Farnsworth house. So yes, one of the master architects, Mies van der Rohe, did the Farnsworth house. So if you have not been there or haven't seen it, definitely go look it up. It is a masterpiece. It's very cool. All right, we are going to finish squaring up what we're gonna square up. Good bushism there. Coffee's working, huh? And then we'll get working on transplanting that rhubarb plant. Okay, we're gonna do a quick show and tell here. A couple weeds. Dandelion, which you know has that big root, and if you don't dig out the root just even a little bit like that, will create more dandelions, so you try to get that whole thing out. This is mallow, and it has just this wicked nasty taproot that goes down and gets big white flowers and seeds profusely, so you want to dig that one all the way out. My favorite, the little thistle. And what's amazing about the little thistle is you can just kind of pull the one piece off, but it has that big huge rhizome, and it just keeps spreading and going and going. And the reality is, if you leave that much in there, you'll have more thistle. So you try to get as much of that as possible. Quackgrass, same thing, that rhizome, just these little teeny things that grow, and each one of those is a new piece of grass that comes up. So when you think you just have one little weed right there, it's actually attached to this whole thing and just kind of goes and takes over. So you try to get all of those pulled out. And what I was doing and cleaning up right there, that is horseradish. So that is the tuber. Actually, I don't even know if it's considered a tuber, but that's what I'm calling it. So if you know, leave me a comment down below. But I saved all the horseradish from before. This year, I promise I will make some horseradish spicy for the fall. So if you have a good recipe on or how you make horseradish, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear it. Okay, there's a whole bunch of yarrow growing in this grass, and this is where I'm going to expand. And I'm going to move the rhubarb over into here because we got a couple more straw bales going over there. The reality is I did not want to dig all this up, so I'm going to use another method. Plus, and I didn't get the laser out, but if I'm bringing this all completely level, I actually have quite a bit that I can raise up over here. So what I'm going to do is, he'll get planted, is the old newspaper method. And I call it the old newspaper because this is from, 2018. Yeah, back when the Vikings were going to do great. Okay. A pretty simple method. You need to do more than one sheet, 6, 7, 8. I don't think there's a magic number, but I'm gonna put newspaper down. If you have your water turned on, you can wet it and then it doesn't blow. What I'm gonna end up doing is just using soil, because I'm gonna add soil to the top of this. And I've got my little string line, and that's just gonna give me an edge. See what I mean? Nice and thick. And then get a little soil on top of it. I'll be adding a lot of soil. What this will do, it will suffocate out the grass, the yarrow, the weeds down here won't get any light. It'll get moisture and air because it'll move through the paper, but all of this stuff will die underneath it. I'll be adding enough soil on top of it to do my planting, raise it all up. And this is just one way that you can start a garden, expand a garden. If you're doing little raised wood beds, you can just put newspaper down in there and put potting soil on top and start gardening. So it's a great little kind of garden hack. Another place you can use this is if you have some trees that you want to put mulch around, not up on the tree, but if you want to mulch some areas, you can put newspaper down, put the mulch on top, and you don't have to take up the grass. Or in this case, because I want to move the rhubarb today, you don't have to spray, because if I was going to spray and try to kill all of this in here, I'd be waiting for a couple more weeks, and I don't want to do that. So newspaper it is. Well, timing is everything. It is starting to snow. It was supposed to snow early this morning, rain, but the system kind of fell apart. Not complaining at all. I think Worthington got hit pretty hard. Some big flakes coming down now, but the cool thing is mission accomplished, garden goal completed. The main task was getting the rhubarb moved out of our center line down the garden to get room and ready to expand the straw bales. So that was done. I'm not going to go through everything. I kind of showed you a little bit. Paper down, soil on top of it. Speaking of soil, we'll probably bring another load in because still need a little bit more soil right in that area to fill and kind of take care of that area. Moving a rhubarb, ideally, it would have been done a little bit ago when the plant is just coming out of the ground. This is the little red rhubarb that was next to the straw bale last year that got moved, and this is a little green rhubarb that we moved from White Bear that was over by the house that I wanted to get to the garden. Now it is. One thing that you saw, always use, I call it a potato fork. I'm sure everybody has a different name for it, but just your garden fork and your tines to tease roots out. If you would go in there and just kind of start cutting and trying to dig it out with a shovel or a spade, you're just going to slice some of those big roots that you saw hanging out on the outside. This way you can kind of tease them out, get them there, and get them out to the edge, find out where they are so they don't all get cut off. As you can see, it didn't have a lot of roots, so the more that you keep on there, the more successful your transplant will be. And then just remember, rhubarb is as tough of a plant as it can be. So these guys will be happy. And now that I have 3 red and 1 green rhubarb, I will have enough rhubarb for the whole bloody city. I do believe. Look at that, it's coming down. Bonus for the day is a little bit of rhubarb itself. So we're actually going to be making pasta tonight using tomatoes from last year's garden, and I think we're going to have a rhubarb crisp. How about that? Hey, thanks so much for following along. Glenn here, yep, at home in the gardens with Glenn. You know what to do. I really do appreciate the fact that you watch the video, leave a comment, ask a question, hit that like button, thumbs up, whatever it is, and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, you should do that. Go hit that button right now. Hit the bell. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, Big Jack, garden dog, you came back out. And our garden supervising puppies, security puppies, whatever you want to call them, they're back. Walter Finnegan. All right. And the snow is really coming down. Thought since they came out to see our progress, I thought I would get them in just a little bit. Oh, look at the good boy. Can you sit too? Sweet little puppies. Yeah, there's a bird over there. They don't care about us. All right. Bye-bye.